Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another great episode of Cage Talk. Today, I have a former mixed martial artist who fought in the WEC. He's fought in the UFC. He's Feli World Championship Junior Freestyle in fifth place in 96. Fila World Championship Junior Freestyle second place in 98. Then Fila Junior World Champion Freestyle Champion 98. NCAA Division One All American from 2000 to 2001. NCAA Division One third place with the Oklahoma State University. NCAA Division One champion 2001. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the man, Mark the Filipino Wrecking Machine Munoz. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
You like
For that
that?
introduction, man. That's crazy. Man, that's crazy.
Yes, sir. I mean,
Awesome, thank you.
yeah. Again, that's all your accomplishments and stuff, and I kind of brought it back to the very beginning, man. Your first your roots, your strong background in wrestling. So I'm glad.
Yep. Good.
A lot of people when I start doing the intro, they're like, "Oh man!" Like I had Dean Thomas on. He was like, "Damn!" He's like, "How old am I?" Like he was just so like.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked you were like going through it. I was like, dang, he's going through the whole thing. That's crazy.
Yes, sir. But again, it's a pleasure to have you on. Like I said, big fan. When you were, wrestling back in Oklahoma State and stuff like that. And as we know, you're probably still good friends with Daniel Cormier, right? You wrestled with him.
Yeah, I just talked to him like 3 days ago, man.
Yeah, see, that's funny though, because I guess I had Gray Maynor on, and he said it's kind of almost like wrestlers kind of stay in touch with wrestlers, like they kind of.
Yeah. I went on a tour with Gray Maynard like 2 months ago.
See, look at that. Like, so I know he was talking to me, and I talked to Gray maybe about. I had him on the show maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, and it's funny how he was explaining that. Like, yeah, usually the wrestling guys, stick with the wrestling guys. They'll do like it's almost like a little group, but.
Heck yeah. We do all stay together, man. We keep tabs of each other, and
Yeah.
like we almost know each other's history, man. I know Gray like wrestled for St. Ed's, and then went to Michigan State, and he wrestled at 149, and then 157. Like I know his old rap.
You could probably do a better intro than me with him, like all the wrestlers. But it's true. It happens like, it happens like that, and that's really fascinating, man. Especially everyone sticks together and stuff. But
Yeah.
talking about your career in the UFC and WEC and stuff, how did it start? Obviously, you have a very big, strong background in wrestling. What was your first, what kind of brought you into wrestling? What made you want to do wrestling in the beginning?
Well, I mean, I had a lot of friends that wrestled, and they asked me to do it earlier, and I was like, nah, man, I'm good, dude. I'm gonna keep playing football and basketball, and you guys were trying to start to send each other funny places, man. I'm good with that. And then a really good friend of mine he was like, well, you think that's funny? I go, no, man, no, that's just what you do, bro. Like, I'm good. He goes, I bet you I can dig you down in 10 seconds. I said, yeah, right. Dude, you're barely 100 pounds soaking wet. I'm 150 pounds about to sit, there's no way, bro, So I break down to my stance, like I do something right. And he shoots in on a double leg and picks me up and slaps me on my back. And I've been wearing a tight short ever since, man. but ever since then, man, I was like, man, if it gives me superpowers like that, I want it. And wrestlers are just a different breed, man. I mean, he had confidence, didn't need to flaunt it. I mean, he just knew, And And that's what I wanted. And it was at a time where, I got bullied. I got physically bullied, and wanted to learn how to like protect myself. So it was at a crucial time for me. So I got into wrestling. Because I wanted to protect myself. So I thought wrestling can actually do that, but it actually gave me some confidence because I knew that I was getting better at defending myself. If it went to the ground, I was good.
Mhm.
So yeah. So got into wrestling that way, and then I ended up becoming a state champion, and then a high school national champ, and then take in Russia I took fifth, and then took second. I did junior worlds, and then got a full ride scholarship to State University. So that's how I got into it, man. I just kind of worked hard and rolled it out from there.
Definitely, it was like it's almost like a stepping stone. One thing led to another, led to another, and led to another thing, which is pretty cool. And especially, I think that wrestling is an important background to have because you dictate where the fight goes, and especially nowadays, man. I mean, I have a 3-year-old son, but when he gets older, the first thing I'm gonna put him in is either wrestling or jiu-jitsu, just because 99% most of street fights happen like that. They end up on the ground. So
On the ground, they do, man. They do.
so
And if you ask any mixed martial artist, what's the most important discipline or martial art in mixed martial arts, they'll I'd say about a good 95% of them will say wrestling. A good majority of them will say wrestling.
yeah, that's key because again, like I said, you dictate the whole fight. If you're getting blown up on the stand up, you can easily take them down and control it there. So again, that's a hell of a resume, man, to be state champion and stuff like that. I've always uh I knew a couple people, but just not personally and stuff. I mean, again, wrestling is probably I believe the hardest sport for high school. High school, like they said, football is. Hell no.
No way.
Yeah,
No way.
wrestling is a different animal, man. So again,
Right.
that's awesome that you did that. So talking about your first mixed martial arts, what was your first? Sorry, I'm throwing a blank. What was your first event? Was it WEC 34? Correct. Your debut.
That wasn't my very first.
Mm-hmm.
My very first fight was with the PFC, which is Palace Fighting Championships in Lemoore.
Okay.
I didn't go amateur. I went straight pro. And
Okay.
my very first fight was at the PFC.
Now,
So
would you recommend someone going straight from skipping amateur and going straight to pro, or would you take the high road and say, hey, do a couple amateur fights, get your feet wet, and then join pro? Or it kind of doesn't matter. What do you think would be your
I
advice?
think it's just dependent on. I think it's just dependent upon the individual, really.
Okay.
With wrestlers, we have sometimes over 1,000 wrestling matches. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean that's a lot of matches. And then preparing for a fight and preparing for a wrestling match is almost identical, but you actually drill and learn different things, obviously in wrestling than in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or boxing or MMA, putting it all together. So there's just a lot of different setups, a lot of different things you need to put together. A lot of martial arts. So yeah, it's just different. But I think it's individual for an individual. I think it's different. I mean, some guys, that haven't competed like in wrestling or like combat jiu-jitsu or combat sambo or something like that. Like they need to have that type of competition, just to get the people, But if you have like some type of combat martial arts background,
Mhm.
maybe a short amateur career, or maybe if you have a great gym and you have awesome training partners and you're testing yourself against good fighters, then maybe go straight pro, man. So it's just all dependent upon your situation.
Got you. And how many fights did you have in that league before you actually went to the WEC?
I had two.
Two. Wow. So
Two, yeah.
you were
So
jumping ship all over the place, man. You went damn. So you went amateur,
yeah,
you went pro, and then you just did two
no,
fights, and then you jumped into the big show, huh?
yeah. So I did two fights with the PFC. So I fought with them first, and then I fought Keenan Cage,
Okay.
where I fought Mike Pierce.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike Pierce was like a contender at 170 in the UFC. I fought him my second fight,
Wow.
and he was like 13 and 2 or something like that.
Mhm.
And I was like 1-0. And I fought him and won a unanimous decision with him. And then so I fought PFC, Keenan Cage, and then PFC again. And then I was straight to the WEC.
So yeah, so WEC. I mean, again, your first debut obviously was June 1st, 2008, right? It's WEC 34. You fought a guy named Chuck Grisby, right? Grisby.
Yeah, great to me. Yeah, the Reverend.
And again, you defeated him. KO victory. How was that? How was your nerves? How was going into that fight, especially something that was a little bit more professional than I would say King of the Cage and stuff like that. It was getting WEC was just started, right?
Yeah, dude, it was crazy because I was training with Team Alpha Male for
Okay.
Uriah Fabership, and the first fight was actually in Arco Arena, where the Sacramento Kings play.
Yep.
So it was a huge, huge arena, and a lot of people there, and then it was like, man, it's crazy, just the magnitude of it. So when I walked out, I just heard a bunch of the crowd screaming and everything. So nerves were definitely a big part of it, man. But as soon as that cage door closes and they say fight, I mean everything that you trained
Mm-hmm.
for up to that point is gonna come out. So I had to shift my focus to what I needed to do in the fight, and I knew that if I got him to the ground, that I was gonna do my Donkey Kong punches on him. So I was gonna let my ground and pound on him. So that's what happened, and I ended up getting the knockout for that fight.
Very nice. And again, that fight was in middleweight, correct?
Oh, that was at 205.
That was light heavyweight. Because I know you
Yeah,
bounced.
that was light heavyweight.
So I know you bounced from light heavyweight to
Yeah,
middleweight. Okay.
that was that light heavyweight.
All right.
Yeah.
So
So that dude, Chuck Grigsby was like 6'8". He was 6'8", 205 pounds. Like, the dude was huge.
yeah, it looked
And I was,
awkward. Yeah, it looked awkward in the stare down.
yeah. And I was a slender, 206. I was a slender 206. at all about 5'11" and some change. So,
Your second fight in the WC, you're supposed to fight a gentleman named Steve Steinbeiss. Yes.
Yep.
The fight was replaced, right, by someone else.
Anthony Robocop.
Mm-hmm. And how was that fight?
That fight was crazy, man. That fight was like he was a wrestler, and
Mhm.
I was as well. And man, scrambled really well. You know,
Okay.
so he scrambled, and I couldn't really get my ground and pound and stuff on him, and he shot, and it ended up being like a wrestling fight. So
Mhm.
so it was really good. I ended up getting a unanimous decision victory in that one too.
Now, when there's two wrestlers and you guys are both fine, do you guys tend to try to out wrestle each other? Is that like the game plan, or do you kind of try to throw each other off by saying you guys are going to wrestle? Because we've seen it plenty of times before. Fights happen where you have wrestler versus wrestler, grappler versus grappler, and they end up just standing up training the whole time, and you're like, what the hell? You thought they were gonna, you thought it would be like a chess master's wrestling. How does that work? It just is that the name of the game? Does it just work out like
Yeah,
that? It just happens like that, or is there any game plans that go into this?
yeah. Usually, yeah. So I mean, with obviously you wanna take it to where you're strong, and so or where you're stronger than the other guy, and it you can devise a game plan, but a lot of times what you have the game plan sometimes goes out the window,
Yeah.
and you gotta rest on your on what you've learned thus far, So when you have two wrestlers going against each other, yeah, it does cancel out because they're the wrestling does cancel out, but the one who can transition the best usually will get the takedown or end up on top. So you got to be able to transition between the striking, the wrestling, and the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, and the wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and ground and pound. So whoever's has the transition down, or even better than the other guy,
Mhm.
is probably going to edge in on the fight there.
Gotcha. So, how many fights did you have in WEC? You had three, correct?
Three fights, yeah.
And then
Three
your
fights.
last gentleman that you fought was Ricardo, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Hard
And
Barros.
you beat him. I mean, you were 3-0 in the WEC, man, whipping some ass. And I know I talked to Jamie Verner, and he was just saying how he loved the WC because again, it was all the small, it was not base for just lightweights and flyweights and stuff, but you had the majority of them, there, and it was something new. He said it was something small, but still, he loved fighting for the WC. Do you miss fighting for the WC?
Yeah, man, the WC was awesome, man. I loved it, and it was a big enough show, but it was like the fighters were like a lot closer. They did more things together, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
In the WC. I think the WC was actually getting to the point where they were getting bigger.
Okay.
But it was because they fought in Arco Arena, man. I mean, the same place that the Sacramento Kings played.
Yeah.
So they were getting bigger, but I loved being a part of the WC. I loved just the time that I spent there, with Uriah and Danny Castillo and just all the guys that I was training with. We were all in the WC, so it was a fun time. It definitely was.
Yeah, I get you, man. And I know I've heard several fighters that I've interviewed before. It's say almost the same thing, man. They just enjoyed it and stuff like that. So after the WC, okay, they get relocated. Basically, UFC Sufa buys them out, right? There's
Yep.
only a handful of fighters that actually go from the WC to the UFC. I mean, you have, Brian Stan, Chael Sonnen. There's a couple other people, Donald Cerrone. The list goes on
Yep.
of fighters that actually get to go from the UFC. How was that transition? And did they let you know? Was it like, hey, guys. Did you know that was not going under, but like you were gonna get bought out, or how did that transition happen?
Yeah. So it just happened. I mean, when Zuffa acquired the UFC, like we didn't know until it happened, you know.
Wow.
And then they said they were only taking the select few, and so I was like, oh man, I hope I get picked, you know. And uh, so when my name was on the list, I was like, yeah, that's what's up, you know. So uh, I got super happy, but I only had like 5 fights, you know. So I mean, no, 4 fights, and no, 5 fights, and I just was like, man, I wanna be able to like shine when I'm on the stage, you know. So,
Definitely.
uh, but but you know what? It all works out, man. It all works out at the end for sure.
Yes, definitely. Again, everything happens for a reason and stuff like that. So it feels like what you were saying to me about you said you were on the list and you were looking for your name. It's almost like a football tryout, you know, the day after you go
Yeah,
to see if your name's on the list. If not, you're gonna be pissed. And that's pretty,
yeah,
that's crazy that that would happen like that. Something
yeah,
so, but again,
yep,
you're in the UFC. All right, your debut was UFC 96 and you fought Matt Hamill. Unfortunately, I don't mean to bring this up, man, but I mean, hey, we live and we learn, and in this fight game, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. So um, you lose
yep,
to Matt Hamill. It was your first time
yeah.
ever losing. How was that? Um, how was your mentality after that, especially losing the way you did and then bouncing back? Because obviously you bounced back and you won in UFC 102, and we'll talk about that. But I just wanted to get your mindset, going to the match and how the match played out and everything else.
Not a lot of people know this, but I mean, a lot of people do because I said it in an interview. But one of my sparring partners was King Mo, and
Okay.
King Mo, I actually was shooting in, and he brought up his knee, and I actually, oh man, ran into his knee and got knocked out. And I had a concussion before
Oh.
my UFC debut, um, and it was a week before. So I was like, oh, dude, like I gotta take it easy right now, because I wanna fight Matt Hamill. I'm still gonna beat him, but I need to take it easy because I got a concussion, right? Um, well, I just didn't feel right, and yeah. So how oftentimes do you see me backing away from anybody? You don't ever see me do that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually did something that I didn't think he would ever do. He went for a leg kick and got me. And luckily it was on the other side of my skull. When he kicked me because when you get a concussion, your brain swells.
Mm-hmm.
And so one side of my brain side, my 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 brain hit the brain. Had he did the same, some crazy things that would have happened. So thank goodness I was concussed on both sides of my brain. And
Wow.
you hear about second onset concussions, how it can be really bad, and people getting into comas, and having issues with their speech and slurring their speech and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But thank goodness the good Lord actually was looking over me and protecting me. But yeah, I lost that fight, and he had a leg kick, man. He kudos to him. And you know, uh, I never thought that Matt Hamill would ever go for a leg kick. But
I
he did.
mean, you're right. I mean, he's a pure wrestler and stuff. I mean, he is okay in stand up. It's not the greatest, but again, throwing a leg kick on a wrestler, it's like you said, it's kind of. But that's how the game is, man.
Yep.
It's anything could happen, and
Yep.
I
That's
mean,
right.
no one would have guessed that too.
Yep.
Man.
For sure.
So after that,
For sure.
UFC 108, you face MMA veteran Ryan Jensen, submitted him because he tapped out.
Oh, we got to go to 102 though first.
I'm
We got
sorry.
to go to 102 though first.
Yeah, 102, where you defeated.
Yep.
Is it Canto?
Nick Catone.
Yeah, I was trying to remember.
Nick Catone.
Yeah. How was that fight? Because that was a nice battle.
Oh man, he's another wrestler from Jersey, and yeah, the guy was nails, man. He actually owns a gym in the East Coast called Catone Mixed Martial Arts. And
Okay.
Frankie Edgar trains there. A bunch of people train there. And he's, man, you talk about a mind for mixed martial arts. That guy has a mind for it, you know. And our fight was it was a barn burner for sure. And I ended up getting a unanimous win there, but he scrambled out a lot of things. You know, I tried knocking him out. I hit him really good. The guy was tough, you know. Came with overhand right, him with hook, you know, and he was taking it all and coming back, you know. So the guy was super tough. But yeah, so that was UFC 102, and came up victorious in that one.
Definitely. Now, between rounds and stuff, are you paying as the fight goes on? It goes, from one round to the next. Are you paying attention to what round it is, or is that your cornerman's job to kind of let you know, hey, this is a third round, I need you to pick it up, or are you more aware of the rounds itself? Because I hear
I'm aware of
sides. What's that?
Yeah, I'm aware of the rounds. I mean, I think you know, tactically you got to know what to do.
Okay.
When I mean, tactics are a big part of the sport. So you got to know what round it is. You got to know. I love knowing how much time I have. So my corner is going to say 2.5. And then they'll say 1 minute, and then they'll say 30 seconds. So I like to know that. Because then I know when to like turn it up. And if I need to score something, and like tactically like know what to do in those positions. So I like to do that all throughout training camp.
Definitely.
Is have my cornerman tell me when there's 2.5 to go, and then 1 minute and 30 seconds.
All right. Nice.
Yeah. So, and obviously, they let us know when there's 10 seconds to go. So, but yeah. So that's right there. I think that's for anybody, knowing that is important.
And was that one of your key things when you're having your cornerman? Obviously, certain fighters like certain things said or done instruction wise. Was that one of your things? Was just, hey, let me know about the time. Always let me know about the time. Make sure I know about the time.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. I'm like, you have a job. So yeah, tell me what I need to work on, but at the same time, you got to tell me how much time is left.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now going on to UFC 108, where you had Ryan Jensen. I mean, you showed, man. I remember that fight. I watched it not too long ago. Some nasty ground and pound, man. That was nasty. If anybody wants to see some ground and pound, just go on YouTube and put that fight was disgusting. It was a good showing. You finished them off in the first round. How'd you feel in that fight, man?
I felt great. I felt great in that fight. And I thought Ryan Jensen was gonna try to outstrike me. I thought he was gonna go and do a bunch of leg kicks and stay on the outside, but he actually tried to take me down. Like, I couldn't believe it. He tried to take me down, and I was like, ooh, sweet. So I ended up sprawling, taking his back, and then just unleashing the freaking Donkey Kongas from there. I was just like just hammering them, you know. And so I teach all that ground and pound to all my guys, you know, and
Definitely.
you know, taking, you know, it's like I liken it to going to Chuck E. Cheese and playing whack-a-mole. You ever play whack-a-mole?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a game to me, dude. Like when I get on top, I look for an open spot to hit, and
Okay.
that's where I hit. You know,
There we go.
it's kind of like the moles popping up out of the ground. And you got to hit them. You know, so it's the
I
same
got you.
thing, dude. So when I see something open, I'll just like ground and pound right there. And so I mean, if you watch that fight, like he ended up turning to his back, you know, because I punched him so hard in the face, and then he was blocking his face when he was face down, and I would hit his like ribs, and then hit his other ribs, and then he would cover up there, and then I would hit his face. He would block his face, and hit his
So
other side. It was like,
you're just going to
yeah,
town.
yeah. Um, so yeah, so I mean, it was. I mean, that's how the ground and pounds happened right there.
Definitely. So it's like whack-a-mole. Now I'll probably never forget that. That's a very good
Yeah,
analogy, you know?
yeah.
That's funny. All right. So then you fight the Ultimate Fighter 3 winner, Kendall Grove, on UFC 112. You also win, get Fight of the Night
Yep.
honors. How was that?
Oh my gosh. So Kendall, man, I mean, he's another tall guy. I mean, he's
Very lanky. Yep.
6'7", 6'8", you know, very lanky, very rangy, you know. So, man, I don't remember that fight all too well. You
Okay.
know, all I remember was waking up on a single leg and then waking up on a double leg, and I don't even remember winning the fight. You know,
Really?
because he caught me with an uppercut coming in, and you know, and I woke up on a single leg, and then he caught me with a knee coming in, and didn't know, and then I woke up on a double leg. So yeah, so I just you know, don't remember much of that fight, but I did win it, you know, and so
There you go.
with
That's
the ground and pound that we drilled and worked on the whole camp, you know. So that was actually the first fight in Abu Dhabi. Um, it wasn't on Fight Island, obviously. It was on
yep.
the island of Abu Dhabi, but it was man, it was an awesome time, you know, because I ended up going to Abu Dhabi for the first time, and um, it's like it's like Vegas on steroids over there, man. It's like every 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 building is like huge, you know, and um, yeah, it's a man-made island, you know, and so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, super cool. I fought that fight, and Kendall Grove is super awesome. He ended up training with me at Rain Training Center, um, you know, a few months afterwards. So
That's pretty cool.
we're yeah, we're really good friends now, man. You know, so um, I love that guy, his family, and you know, he's salt of the earth, man. Super cool guy.
Definitely. I mean, the fighters that you fought in UFC, I mean, you fought, I mean, Yushin Okami, you fought
Yeah,
Damian Maya. I mean, you fought some maybe Dalloway, you fought Chris Lieben, because I had Chris Lieben
yeah,
was like maybe my second person, and I remember putting this down. I go, you and Chris Lieben were the first five round non title fight in UFC history. So just the fact that that actually happened, um, was really cool and stuff like that. Uh, talking about most of your fights and stuff like that, what would you think was one of the toughest fights that you had in your career? It doesn't have to be UFC. It could be WC. It could be anything that you faced. Maybe some adversity that you had to go through in a fight.
You cut out a little bit. Can you say that again?
Yeah,
The question?
absolutely, man. I'm
Yeah.
asking, what was your fight that you thought was the hardest in your career? And I said it doesn't have to be UFC, it doesn't have to be WC, just something that you maybe had to go through adversity, like maybe in the fight, maybe something went wrong, or maybe a game plan didn't go the way you wanted to, and you had to switch it up, or maybe you broke your hand or something. Anything that kind of you look back in your career and be like, oh yeah, I remember that fight.
That again, man. I'm sorry.
Hey man, that's no problem. I can say it again. The listeners can hear me again. I just can't see you now. Again, you hear me, Mark? Hopefully we'll get him back on, guys.
All right, give me now.
All right, he's back on. All right, you're good now.
What's up, man? I'm actually What's up, man?
You sound like you have a full house there, Mark.
I'll be right back. I do. I have my daughter just came in with her fiance, and
Awesome.
yeah. But yeah, I still got some time, man.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's awesome that you have your whole family.
No. It's all good. It's all good. So, Ted, ask me that question again.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Ask me that question again.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what fight in your career was you look back and you think, man, that was the toughest fight that I ever had to go through. It doesn't have to be UFC. It doesn't have to be WC. Just something that maybe you had to go through adversity during your match. Maybe broke something. Maybe a game plan didn't go according to plan. You had to kind of switch it up and stuff. Anything that kind of brings into your mind right now?
So many, bro. So many. I'm telling you, man, it's crazy because I own Rain Training Center, where some of the best came to me. You know, Anderson Silva, the Nogueira brothers, Junior Dos Santos, Rafael Dos Anjos, Lyoto Machida. I had Fabricio Verdum, had Babalu, had King Mo. You know, Alliance would come in and they would train with us every once in a while, which was, Alexander Gustafsson, Brendan Vera, Brendan Schaub was a part of the gym as well. I'm telling you, man, like the who's who came into my gym. And so I was training them, all the while training myself, and so, I was coaching them, I was traveling with them, and I was running Rain Training Center. And so a lot of people were like, hey, Mark, you need to focus on yourself. I'm like, no, I'm cool, man. I can do this, man. This is what I love to do. And there wasn't a time for my body to heal, and so that's why I started incurring a lot of injuries. During the Weidman fight, I ended up breaking my foot 2 weeks before my fight. And I end up was thinking you know what, my foot hurts, I'm good, but I had to tape my foot up, because just to put a little bit of support on the outside of my foot. And so I was like, man, my foot's hurting, and so come to find out, I fought that fight on a broken fifth metatarsal, which is like my pinky bone on my right foot. And I came this close from landing my overhand right, and I really couldn't really push off my right foot too much, and he ended up catching me with that elbow, and so I have something to remember that by. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with Lyoto Machida because he's a really good friend of mine. Still is a really good friend of mine, but we were training together because he was supposed to fight Tim Kennedy and I was supposed to fight Michael Bisping.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Bisping ended up getting poked in the eye, and he couldn't fight. And then Tim Kennedy backed out. And then Dana White ended up calling Lyoto and asked him to fight me. And then Lyoto goes, he ended up calling me up and he says, hey, the UFC wants me to fight you and I can't turn down the fight. So then I said, why don't you why don't you say yes? Because he already turned down the fight. He's got one more fight on his contract.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, why don't you just say yes? And then when they talk, because 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 I'm training, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, uh, when I get off the phone with him, that's my reminder to talk to you. uh,
Awesome.
so when I got off the phone with him, I ended up getting a bunch of like notifications on like MMA Junkie, MMA Weekly, USA Today, whatever, and it's saying like official star official. Um, Mark Michael Bisping out, and Lyoto Machida is fighting Mark Munoz, and I was like, "What? I
Wow.
didn't even get a call. Like, I didn't even get a call. Like, I didn't even sign nothing. You know, how's that official?" So I call over to Dana White, and I'm like, "Hey, man, what's up, dude? Like, how is this official? Like, I didn't sign a battle agreement, no nothing." He's like, "Oh, nobody contacted you?" I said, "No, nobody contacted me, man. So, like, how is this official? You know?"
Mm.
And he goes, "Hey, Mark, you need to fight, you know, because if you don't fight, you're probably not going to fight for a year, 6 months to a year, because you know everyone's booked or injured." You know, I'm like, "What?" And this was a time where I owned my gym, and you know, my fighting was actually subsidizing the gym. You know, and so I was like, "Dude, this sucks." You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I can't back out. Like I gotta fight because I need this money. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell everybody, like, don't fight for money, man. Never fight for money. But, you know, um, like I really had to fight for money, you know, because that was something that I had to do. So I did that. And then, you know, uh, our jujitsu coaches, which was Henner and Hiron Gracie, they end up going to either side, you know, and they know everything about me. But then the big kicker was this. Master Rafael Cordero ends up going in his corner instead of mine, and I was with him for 6 years
Oh
already, and
wow.
he Lyoto's corner, and Lyoto just got to the United States and started training with Kings just that year, and so I was like, oh my gosh, you know, so that threw me for a loop because you know he knew everything about my striking, you know. Um, and so yeah, I walked into that fight like not even right, you know. So, um, so that had to deal with that, you know. And then, you know, what else? I had Gegard Musasi.
You're Musasi.
In that fight against Gegard, um, I ended up getting in on a double leg, and as I picked him up in the air, I felt a pop in my knee, and when I took him down, like I couldn't really push off my knee, or like I felt a really sharp pain to the inside of my knee, you know, and yeah, he ended up taking my back and choking me out in that fight off of my takedown, you know.
Oh.
It was like, what the freak? And so I walked out, and I had a third-degree tear in my MCL in that fight, you know. So I was like, what the heck is going on, you know? And so um, just my body was breaking down on me, you know. And
Was your body breaking down
you
just
know, looking
because
back,
of your conditioning? You think?
no, dude, I was highly conditioned, bro. Like
Okay.
my heart rate was my heart rate would go down to the 20s, like 29, 28 beats per minute in my sleep. You know, I can do 10 rounds of sparring in my gym. Like my shape was incredible, but my body wasn't recovering.
Okay.
I wasn't getting the rest recovery in because I coached at my gym.
Mm-hmm.
I would wake up, you know, go do my low base, which is like an hour of like some type of cardio, you know, whether it's biking, whether it's swimming, whether it's running. I would do an hour of that. And then from there, I would get into my MMA training. Then from there, I would do my jujitsu or boxing. and then I would do strength conditioning. Some days it would be like, actually it would be intermittent sometimes,
Mhm.
um, but some days I would have it back to back to back, and not even go home and rest, take a load off, and so I would be on my feet the whole day, um, and then I would try to fight, so there wasn't a time for me to kind of just recover, so um, looking back at it, man, I was like, dang it, I wish, I wish I would have done it. So now when TJ wanted to open up a gym, I told him, I said, hey, TJ, you cannot be here at the gym. Let us run it, and then you go home, just train, and just get your TJ time in, so, and let your body recover. So yeah, in my career, man, I had a lot of things, dude. Like, and now, for the last 3 years of my career, I was knocking on the door of a title shot.
Yep.
I was number one contender, and I got me. I was number one contender, and that was, just almost there. And the guys that I would fight for the title, and someone would win it, and so, it's just, yeah. So looking back, you know, hindsight's 2020,
Yep.
but it's all good, man. I mean, life is good for me. Like I'm still doing what I love, and everything happens for a reason. I was coaching, and I'm still coaching now, and coaching fighters, and coaching world champions, and in wrestling, and in MMA, and I'm doing well. I do military tours all around the world. I got seminars, I got clinics, I got camps, I got
You have the
I
anti-bullying campaign as well, correct?
got my anti-bullying campaign that I do. So, and then I do motivational speaking engagements for churches and or businesses and/or organizations. So yeah, that's
Awesome, man.
yeah. So I mean, everything happens for a reason, man, and I believe that whatever you give out, man, you're gonna get back. So yeah, so I gave a lot of myself out. I did, but because of that, I'm able to reap what I've done for others, as well, in building relationships and all of that stuff.
Definitely, man. And that's something you can always, again, um, build off, for your fighters and stuff, especially the things that you've gone, personal issues, personal things that you've gone, like you said about the training and getting injured, and like telling TJ, like, hey, I've done this before. Don't do it, man. Just, save your career, go home, let us run that. So, you're helping others, helping other fighters, especially not go down that path. Again, it wasn't the wrong path, but again, you kind of learn from your mistakes, right? You kind
Right.
of build off that, and hopefully, uh, it teaches generations and generations of fighters and stuff like that. Just
Yeah.
you gotta take care of your body, because
Right.
after fighting's not your whole life, but you know, you gotta take care of your body. If not, you're not gonna function.
Right.
And
Right.
and before I let you go, I really wanted to talk about your last fight, because you made your announcement. You said you were gonna retire. Um, how was all those emotions? Especially, I mean, you
Hmm.
you went out winning. A lot of people don't do that. You know, a lot of people don't go out like
Yeah.
that. Usually, I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah.
some people get knocked out. I mean, it happened to Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell. The list goes on of fighters who've said they would retire and unfortunately didn't go out, riding into the sunset. How was that
Yeah.
fight for you?
Yeah. So I mean, accepting that fight, like I wasn't thinking that that was going to be my last fight, but in the middle of my camp, um, it was just like a big series of revelations, really, So during that time, I was going to the gym. I was waking up, doing my low base cardio, dropping my kids off to school, going to the gym, and then training at the gym, pick up my kids, bring them back to the gym, pick up dinner, eat at the gym,
Wow.
and then go back home and do it all over again, while training in between, and um, so I already had tremendous guilt of me not spending time with my wife and my kids. And even though I felt like I had a great marriage and great family life, um, it wasn't good, because I wasn't spending time, and so the straw that broke the camel's back, well, not the straw that broke, I'll tell you about that later, but my daughter was having behavioral issues. I was arguing with my wife because I was never home, you know um, and my oldest daughter was having behavioral issues, and then my son says, Dad, I ended up bringing him out for wrestling because I was coaching my wrestling club at the same time. And he's like, Dad, I want to try wrestling. And so I was like, okay. So he ended up wrestling for, probably a good, maybe like 3 months or so. And then he ended up going to this big national tournament called the Freak Show in Vegas.
Okay.
He ended up going to it, and he didn't win a single match, went 0-2.
Okay.
Went 0-2 in barbecue. That's what we call it. And then, but in baseball and soccer, he that summer he ended up going to Cooperstown, New York, and playing on the national baseball team. And their team the team made the semifinals. There was a lot of college scouts there, and they were already watching my son already.
Wow.
Already making for him in baseball. Made every all-star team, obviously, and then in soccer, his team. He's a part of the Strikers here in Southern California, and his team ends up going to the National Cup and taking second.
Mhm.
And just amazing at soccer. And so, but then he went 0-2 at the Freak Show, and then about 2 weeks later, because he was super mad at me after the tournament, wouldn't talk to me. I'm like, dude, seriously, like, why are you mad? Because you barely wrestle. You're playing soccer and baseball during the week, and you come like once, maybe twice a month in wrestling, and you think you could go with these
Yeah.
kids at the national level, like go with them. Like, come on, dude, like it's not going to happen. You just got to spend time, right? Had this big talk with him, and then about a week later, he says, Dad, I'm going to quit soccer and baseball, and I want to wrestle. I'm like, why? Like, you're so good at soccer and baseball, man. Like, why do you want to wrestle? And he's like, well, because Dad, I love it, and it's what I think about, and I want to get better at it. And I'm like, why? Like, still
You're
don't
still
understand.
stuck on it. I mean,
Yeah, I said you're so much better at like soccer and baseball. I mean, and you went 0-2 at the Freak Show, like. And I go, what are some goals that you think you want to accomplish in wrestling? Well, I coached at Oklahoma State. He was born in Oklahoma, so he was a part of a big tradition and legacy over at Oklahoma State. Then I accepted a job at UC Davis, and he grew up around all of those college wrestlers. And then we moved down south to Southern California, and I coached at Cal State Fullerton, where TJ Dillashaw wrestled and he was around all those guys. And so he was around all these college wrestlers, and I asked him, I said, what are your goals? And he goes, Dad, I want to get a full ride Division I scholarship. And I go, hold on. There's only 70 schools at the time. There's less than that now. I said, there's 70 schools that offer scholarships, and there's a very small percentage of those that give full ride scholarships. I was like, what makes you think out of the tens of thousands of kids in this country that want to wrestle, that want that scholarship, that you, Trey Munoz, is going to get that scholarship, right? Without batting an eye, he looks me dead in the face. He goes, well, I got you, Dad.
there you
And I
go.
was, oh my gosh, dude, that just with the mounting guilt I had on me from not being home and me arguing with my wife all the time about time with the kids and time with her, and then having behavioral issues with my daughter, and then my son saying that to me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, you know what?
That's awesome, man.
I'm done, man. I'm done. And I was ranked. I was ranked number 3 in the world. And I was ranked number 2 in the world. Before that, it was just like, I was, like looming around the corner was a title shot for me. But man, when my son asked me that and said that, I was just like, man, I can't say no to him.
Absolutely, man.
So I can't say no to my wife. I can't say no to my kids. I was saying no to them forever. And then right there, it was just, that was it. So then I announced my retirement, and I retired from there. And yeah, so now 5 years later, 6 years later, he gets his full ride scholarship. He's at Arizona State University.
Wow.
He redshirted last year. So Lord knows what's going to happen this year, though. I mean, with COVID and everything, we'll see what happens. But he ended up going Greco at the senior nationals and ends up making the semifinals. Never wrestled Greco, really. I mean, the only time he wrestled Greco was when he was at the association duels and wrestled there. But he only wrestled it one time. And he ends up going to senior level. These guys wrestle Greco year-round, make the Olympic team, make the world team, and place, and he ends up beating one of those guys, the 5th seed, and ends up getting into semifinals. And if he plays top 8, he gets an Olympic red shirt, meaning he'll get to, train the whole year and get a year back of eligibility.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Because this year's the Olympic year, right? Because they couldn't wrestle the Olympics last year because of COVID, so they made this an Olympic year. So he ends up making the semifinals, placing top 6 in the country at the senior level. And I'm like, dude, you don't need to wrestle anymore, man. You got your Olympic red. Yeah, I mean, you could sit out this year and have the eligibility for next year. And this was before we knew that the NCAA was going to give everybody an eligibility back, So, so they were going to give their eligibility back anyways. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he wrestled at the U.S. Nationals and beat some of the best guys in Greco-Roman, which he has never wrestled really, So
that's amazing, Mark. That's awesome, man.
So yeah. So now he's he's got high goals, man. He wants to beat his dad, So
there we go.
He wants to be a multiple NCAA national champ, And so so like I said, buddy, I want you to be way better than me, I want you to break records, not only my records, but like everybody else's records, So I'm just here to support him, here to love him. And, my daughter, she's actually home now and with her fiance, and they're actually both studying to be missionaries.
Okay.
From her having behavioral issues to her now wanting to be a missionary, it's just like night and day. And then my wife and I, we run like 3 businesses, and, we have a great relationship together. And so we're family life is good now, man, So I always say, if you make your decisions based upon your family, it's never a wrong decision.
Absolutely.
So making that decision, I was just like, how am I going to provide? But things end up working out. You just got to work hard and plan and work hard, and everything will work out. But your relationships, I always say, the relationships you make with people help you get to where you want to be as well. So yeah, man. Sorry to go on that rant. But,
no, man. You know what?
Yeah.
That was probably worth every little bit, man. Just because, I mean, that story alone is amazing, and especially your son having that inspiration just to, like, at first you're like, I don't know, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. And I mean, that's amazing, man. I'm really happy and glad that it worked out, man. Everything's working out for you. You seem extremely happy, and again, I agree with you in every which way about putting your family is always going to be the best correct answer and stuff like that.
Yep.
So,
That's right.
um,
That's right.
I had nothing but respect for you, man, and I'm so happy for you and your family, man. I really am.
Appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much.
Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure.
no problem.
All right,
Yeah, no-
buddy.
Yep.
Hey, thank you.
Take care.